Good morning. This is Harold Zawatsky. I am the chair of the Board of Assessment Appeals. Today is Tuesday, April the 27th. The time is 9:01 a.m. and I'm calling this meeting to order. This meeting is for the deliberation and voting upon appeals properly brought before the board. And Kathy, who is our recording secretary, I will ask her to do the roll call.
Good morning. Paulette Kuzo.
Here.
Kathleen Griffin.
Here.
Kathleen?
Here.
Alexis Harrison. Alexis is not present. Peter Rupert. Peter is not present. Harold Zawatsky.
Here.
Ronique Patel. Ronique's not present. John Spoilier. John's not present. Judy Zablak.
Here.
Catherine Gist.
Here.
That completes the roll call.
Thank you very much, Kathy. All right, this morning, I think we want to jump right into the commercial properties that we have. And I think that we were also going to be bringing back to the table one appeal that Judy had. I don't know if we were going to kick off with that one. Are you familiar?
That was my appeal, and that was, I think that was John's appeal. I was just bringing it up. So John should be here, right?
Yeah.
And I did not send out the photographs, so I should send out the photographs to everybody.
Yeah, this is Harold. I believe I'm referring to another one. That's the Pratt Street two-family. But if you're not ready to do that right off the bat, we can start with Catherine.
What? Actually, I think it's me.
Oh, Kathleen,
Me and Judy and I are going to do some banks, I think, first. You want to start? Are you ready for that?
Yeah, I was thinking that you should go first, get yours out of the way, and I'll do my three.
Okay. And I've got a bunch of others ready to go too. So if you don't want me to start with the banks, I can start with something else. So
here's what I'm thinking. You do your bank, I'll do my three banks, and then you do some of your commercial, and then I'll do some of mine.
okay, sounds good. Hopefully we'll make some good progress. Okay.
Oh, Catherine.
I have a commercial that anytime you need a break, I just have three, so I can just do one like as you're breaking or setting up. So I don't need to get a roll. I can just.
All right. So let's do appeal number 298 first. The property address is 1761 Post Road. The owner of the property is Sealand Fairfield LLC. The town's value on the property is $5,389,100. The requested value, he just 1.7 million was a placeholder, so I changed it in the sheet. I don't know if you have that, but the requested value is $3,514,800.
What was the address there?
Sure, 1761 Post Road. It's the Key Bank property. Yep. So I make a motion to grant this appeal and reduce the town's appraised value to $3,514,800. Okay. So again, this is the, let me just call up the backup here. Hold on, what was it, 298? As soon as I have less appeals, it'll be easier to find them all. So this was a phone interview with Attorney Jacobson. It's a freestanding Key Bank building built in 2007, 3,900 square feet. It's on the corner there next to Shoe Restaurant, and I think it's Thorpe Street or something that goes in the back. He basically was saying that they were, it's the highest value he's ever seen for a bank branch throughout the Northeast. He represents all of the banks. He said they're closing more than 70 bank branches due to reduced foot traffic. And they've been putting money into their digital platform. And in short, he used the income approach to come up with this dollar amount. He used their rent of $358,444 annually, deducted some market basis and management fees, a variety of other things, and used a 9% cap rate to come to the $3,514,800. So, I mean, if somebody wants me to go into more detail, he did provide, I asked him in his hearing to give me some numbers for 7% and 8% cap rates, which he did calculate for me. However, I'm not comfortable voting on, this because banking industry is a whole other thing. We have 5 of these banks, and I think we should either decide we're going to, hear them all or let them all figure out their issues on their own if it's, about use and what's going on in the banking industry. So.
Any further comments or discussion? This is Harold. No?
I think we should hear him.
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, I think that we should hear them. I think that even though we may have to say we can't approve them or grant them, we let them come here. I don't think it's fair to not hear them.
Yeah, this is Kathleen. I mean, I did just present it. If anybody has questions on it, I'm just saying I'm not comfortable voting on, on this, even though, he provided a lot of backup, but it's a, it's a $2 million, almost a $2 million reduction. So 35% reduction.
Any questions regarding the backup information or any comments or discussion? Then I'll call a vote. All those in favor of granting this appeal, please raise your hand. All those opposed, please raise your hand. Abstentions? I have 2 abstentions, Paulette and Judy abstaining. The vote is 0-3-2. The appeal is not granted, is denied.
And then let me see, where's my second bank? Okay, so my second bank is appeal number 494. The property address is 1366 Post Road. The owner of the property is Fleet National Bank of Massachusetts. The town's value on the property is $4,128,700, and they're requesting a value of $2,785,565. So I would like to make a motion to grant this appeal and reduce the requested value to $2,785,565.
I will
This is-
second if you give me the appeal number again.
Sure, it's 494.
Thank you. And I do second it.
And yeah, let me just look, I'm just trying to make sure I have, some of them came with their requested value in appraised value and some in assessed. I just want to make sure. I think that's correct. Assessed market value, $4,128,700, but that is, she puts it on her sheet, she's an Ernst & Young attorney. So anyway, this is, let me just call up the backup.
That's the assessment. I'm looking at it. That is the assessment. I'm sorry.
The
I'm
2.7.
sorry. That's the appraisal. That's the town appraised value, the $4 million.
Right, but I just want to make sure that her requested value is also appraised. That's what I'm trying to, looking at her sheet, because she put town assessed value on the sheet. So as long as her ratio is correct, so, which I think that it is. So anyway, so this is the bank on the corner across from the community theater. It has, again, it's built in 1956. She said it was closed for 189 days in 2020. It has 6,080 square feet of rental space. Again, the same, the main level is retail space. And then there's other space up above. She did, do the income approach again with these banks. Same story as with the Key Bank. A lot of banks are own their own real estate and are having difficulties with the real estate because they're going to more online. So she provided a, again, the retail space, the market rent at $6,080. She's got the finished attic space rented in the office space. Walked through her expenses, her management fees, her tenant turnovers, leasing, commissions, etc., and came up with, used a 7.5% cap rate to come to the requested value. And this was a phone hearing as well with Shannon Robinson of Ernst & Young. And she did give some lease comparables, but at the end of the day, I believe the income approach was, what she used for that.
This is Harold. I'll ask the board for comments or questions.
She put some bank sales in there as well. The Chase Bank up in Greenfield Hill, I believe, sold. And another bank on Black Rock Turnpike sold in 2018. The Bronson Road one sold in 2020, but she relied on the income approach for her requested value.
This is Harold. Does anyone need more time, or can I call the vote? No one's asking for more time. I'll call the vote. All those in favor of granting the requested value in this appeal, please raise your hand. All those opposed, please raise your hand. I have 3 abstentions. I have 2 abstentions. The appeal is not granted. Is 0-3-2 with Judy and Paulette abstaining.
We're gonna do a couple of my banks since we're already talking about them now. We all set? All right. We'll go to appeal number 241. And this is Commerce Bank. And the property location is 1733 Black Rock Turnpike. The town's value is $3,594,200. The appellant's opinion of fair market value is $3 million. And he submitted a few comparable sales. One of 225 Main Street in Southport. Yeah, you know what? They're looking at them, and I know they're old. 2500 Black Rock Turnpike. Those are 17 and 18, and there is something on Madison Avenue in Bridgeport. And I asked him about the Madison Avenue in Bridgeport, which is active. And he said he just wanted to bring that to our attention. But I'm not really seeing that as any kind of a sale. And the information that he brought forward was a little too old. And I know sometimes that we go out of a time frame, especially for a commercial property or any property when there's no comps, but that happens quite normally in commercial. However, as I look at these, I'm not really convinced that this is what they brought forth was to the best that they could. And they talked about 2500 Black Rock Turnpike. I can go over these comps. However,
This is Kathy. Excuse me. I didn't hear a motion.
oh gosh, sorry. I make a motion to, thank you so much. I make a motion to approve the appellate's opinion of fair market value of $3,162,150. Is there a second?
Catherine will second.
Thank you, Catherine. So do I need to repeat what I just said?
No.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So here's a bottom line. I even wrote in my notes, there's no backup really. And, that's what I got. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'm happy to answer them, but I'm ready to go to a vote.
Does anyone need more time? Any questions or further discussion? Then I'll call the vote. All those in favor of granting this appeal to the requested value, please raise your hand. All those opposed, please raise your hands. I have 4 opposed. Abstentions? 1 abstention. The appeal is not granted. It is denied with a vote of 0-4-1. Paulette abstaining.
Thank you, everyone. And my pen just broke. Give me a second. Oh, my papers. Look at them. Look at that file. Oh, gosh. Okay, thanks, everybody. All right, next one. Appeal number 397. This is JP Morgan Chase Bank. Property is located at 292 Pequot Avenue. The town's value is $3,800,000. Did I just do this? $3,804,600. And the appellant's opinion of market value is $3,162,150. I make a motion to approve the appellant's opinion of fair market value at $3,162,150. Is there a second?
Catherine,
Kathleen seconds.
Thank you. Did I just do this?
No?
No, okay, you know what, all right, yeah, we just did what, okay, great. As the number looks, okay, whatever, you know what, I'm like dreaming about this stuff. At least you're
The
not
number-
nightmares, right?
the number is similar.
Yeah, okay.
I hope you have better dreams next week.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So they brought up 1899 Bronson Road as a sale, and they've included that, and they're looking at the square footage cost of $346.52. And they also brought up Hope Street in Stamford, which is another, I know it's out of town, but it's still a bank. And that closed in 2018. I should point out that the one on Bronson Road closed on 12/28 of 2020 for $613. However, I look at that and I look at this one. This one's on Pequot as opposed to Bronson. I think they're not as similar. They're somewhat, but they're about as good as you could possibly get compared to, because we don't have a lot of bank comps. But I still think there's something to be said about the Pequot location, but that's what I have there. And I really don't feel that there's a lot of information. If that one is listed, is closed, and that price, I still can't see where the $3,162,150 is coming from. I get the square footage, but I'm not seeing it, and we don't have an awful lot of information attached to this. Just all that you see is all that we have.
Okay, this is Harold. Does anyone need more time? Any questions or comments? Then I'd like to call the vote. All those in favor of granting this appeal, please raise your hand. All those opposed, please raise your hand. Abstentions? One abstention. The vote is 0-4-1. Paulette abstaining. Thank you.
All right, the next one is appeal number 398. This is a Chase Manhattan Bank. The property location is 1401 Post Road. Town's value is $4,275,700. The appellant's opinion of fair market value is $3 million. And I make a motion that we approve the value of $3 million for this period. Do I have a second?
Catherine will second.
Thank you very much. So they talked about the last reval at $3,375,000. They're also giving that comp of Bronson Road. So here's the thing: the last reval of $3,375,000, and they're asking for $3 million. The value has gone down. They're saying that ATM and or they're all COVID impacted. And they gave these same comparables, but I'm not. I'm just not seeing a comparable for 1.6 or even the other one that's 613. Trying to work that into getting this at the $3 million. It's not working for me. All that does is basically tell me that this property sold at 600 and change. This other one sold at. Let me get the price, 1.6, and it's not giving me enough information to make a decision. So,
Does anyone need more time? Kathleen?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. I know just on my first bank, it was Fleet Bank or something, the one across the street from the Chase. At least they gave us some income, information and cap rates and rentals and stuff. So I feel like these ones, when they're using sales only for these flagship properties, that's really not an appropriate way. They should have at least tried by giving us some income approach. And it doesn't look like, it's not in the file. So I want to make that comment on these, you can't just do comparable sales on these commercial properties.
Thank you, Kathleen. It's just not enough information. And that's why you can't do anything. It's just not enough information.
Anyone need more time? Any further questions or comments? Then I'll call a vote. All those in favor of granting this appeal to the requested value, please raise your hand. All those opposed, please raise your hand. I have 4 abstentions. 1 abstention. The appeal is not granted, is denied. The vote is 0-4-1 with Paulette abstaining. Thank you.
Look, Catherine had 3 commercials she wanted to get done.
Okay, I'll sneak one in. That's a break.
Why don't you take care of yours, and then Kathleen and I will go. Does that sound like a plan for everybody?
Whatever. Let's see if I can
That's
go.
a plan.
I'm good.
We can get through these because they will. Okay. Well, here let's call them up.
Catherine, can you wait on your auto repair? Because I think I'm going to try to
Yep,
do mine.
I
So why don't you hold off on that one? Okay.
Okay. Let's hold off on that one. Great. So let's start with appeal 416. 416 is at 599 Kings Highway West, owned by Joseph Bertini and Geraldine Carson. And they are brother and sister, and they both appeared with their lawyer, Chris Russo. And look, this was a kind of tough appeal because it was really, there weren't a lot of numbers. They were trying to be very forthcoming with their numbers, but here it is. This is the old Macware building. So it's down, I need to make a motion. The town has a value of 1,228,500, and I'd like to make a motion to grant the appellant's requested value of 950,000. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Judy. Okay, so it is the Macware, the old Macware. Well, actually, the current Macware, and upstairs is Fred Astaire. And then on the back part of the property, because it's a little bit of a triangle there, is actually where Ms. Carlson lives. So it is her 3-bedroom, 1-bath home on the back end of the property. So it's a 2-card field card. And the way it's broken out is that her 1,600 square foot house, 3 bedrooms, is valued at about $215. The Macware Fred Astaire buildings valued at about $238. There's some paving, I think, for $13,000, and then the land is $761,000. Now the land interest, I was trying to prep yesterday, and it has a 0.75 condition for flooding, which they did not mention, but that is where their value, the town has them valued at for the $1,028,228. So the basis of their appeal is that the tenants, it's not a walkable area. There is parking for them, but it's kind of in this like awkward corridor. And the tenants are really giving them, the hard press for reduced rents. So they used to rent for about $8,000 to $10,000 a month. Now they're down closer to about $6,300 a month. It is month to month. The tenants are refusing to sign leases. So there's definitely a tenant landlord negotiation battle going on. And I just want to make sure I hit all their points. And look, they were very forthcoming. So their rents that they were collecting from 2015 are down 20%. So that's real. That's the target of their their appeal. She was sharing like her personal income tax returns with me for the expenses. And while I was taking note, it was my decision to not make copies of those, to put those in the file. So she was forthcoming. I want to make the point, she was forthcoming with information, but I didn't want to have a personal tax return in the file. So that was my decision. But when I looked at it, there really aren't many expenses to this property. Depreciation was like her major expense, and they've owned it for quite some time. So I tried to work some numbers to help her, and that's why it was helpful for me to have the commercial brokers and the appraisers. But even at what they're making, they're still getting about a 6% cap rate, not even including their personal home, like just to cover the amount. So, well, I do feel bad that the rents are down, that the tenants are giving them a hard time. Of course, it was COVID. I'm kind of having a hard time coming up with, so at a 6% cap rate, even if they're making at a 6% cap rate, it would be valued at 1.25, which is a little over the town's value, and at a 6.5% rate, they'd be valued at $1,163,000. So the town's right in there. So.
Anybody need more time?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
Okay.
Okay.
Kathleen?
I just want to see exactly where this is
Yes,
because I think it's a really tough address.
Well, this is
Where is
Kathleen,
this?
but they have frontage on the Post Road, right? Looks like there's there's 2 structures on the property that looks like, looking at the GIS, they have a house, a 1,600 square foot house on Kings Highway West behind it. And then they
Yes.
also have the retail space on the street with a driveway on the Post Road. So I wouldn't say that's they are adding sidewalks down there, the RTM or whatever. We got a grant to put sidewalks in that area. And there is a fair amount of commercial. The diner's a couple doors down. It is,
Right.
Dunkin' Donuts across the street. I wouldn't say that it's a difficult location. It might not be as walkable as downtown Fairfield, but between a house and a commercial building, I'm having a hard time just looking at the 1,000,002 number and saying that 1,000,002 isn't right when you have a house and you have a commercial structure with the size of that commercial structure, that you probably could do more with it if you chose to. So I probably won't support this just for that reason. And also,
This is Harold. I believe that the commercial properties are a auto repair, and in the building or next to the auto repair is a liquor store.
Yes.
And I am a patron of both businesses.
Not at the same time, unless you're, yeah.
How often do you go to the liquor store?
not at the same time. That's very funny.
Erica gets her Volvo repaired there, and they're very fair. I recommend them. They're a very competent repair service, and they are very fair. Okay, so be that as it may, I mean, these are two thriving businesses that have been there for a long time. And I assume will continue to be there because they do good services. Anyone need, yes, Ross, you have your hand up?
Harold, I think that car dealer or car repair is next door. It's not in the subject property.
This is Macware, I think, isn't it? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's Macware, and Fred Astaire is on the, I believe, on the second floor.
Oh,
Yeah.
the picture is what threw me.
That's the right area. It's, between
Yeah.
the I-95 overpass and the diner, and there's a hair salon place. It's that little triangle part. It's definitely Macware and Fred Astaire upstairs, both of which are, difficult COVID years for sure. People were not taking dance lessons.
Yeah,
The picture on
nothing.
page 16 was the property that I was referring to. So if that's not correct, then I stand corrected. And I'm sorry to say that I don't use the services in the building that was described.
Take some dance classes. Yeah, no, that was in
Go
there.
to dance class after you go to the liquor store.
All right. Judy, you said you needed more time?
No, I'm okay. I just really wanted to see the property. Thank you, Ross. I actually went online to GIS to look at it. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, well, one request, Ross, that the card be corrected so that it looks like it's a two-set card, right? Is there 2 pages to the card? But the photo is of the house on both of the cards, and I think that's a little confusing. I think one of the cards should have a picture of the Macware building, as opposed to 2 houses. I know, maybe they made a mistake with the photos, but I think, don't we usually, if it's a separate structure, we take a picture of the separate structure?
All right.
Yep.
Any further comments or questions? Then I will call a vote. All those in favor of granting this appeal to the requested value, please raise your hand. I have 1, 2 in favor, opposed. I have 3 opposed. The motion is not, does not pass. The appeal is not granted. The vote is 2 in favor, 3 opposed, no abstentions. I believe it was Paulette and Judy in favor.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Should
Catherine, did you have another commercial?
I do have another one. And, okay, so appeal number 418, which is at 170 Pequot Avenue. The owner, David Parker, came in to discuss his appeal. So I'd like to make the motion to reduce the town's value of $1,047,600 to a requested value of $670,000. Do I have a second?
Judy,
Thank you,
seconds.
Thank you. Ross, since you are there and attending, it would be great to pull up the GIS, which is also in the file. I think it's the last page, but I think you'll have a better picture. So, and again, I appreciate people's help here because I'm taking what I learned yesterday from, again, those commercial brokers and the professional commercial appraisals. The appeals I have today are the people who work there. They're not in the business of the commercial real estate. So they're going to require some of our help. Okay, so David came in and, he was actually pretty nervous. So I was like, can you just you've got to teach me about your property. He lives there. He is an architect and he bought this property. So he bought this property about 20 plus years ago. It's not that one. Oh, well, maybe it is. And it's an 1860 built house. So he's restricted because it's a historical home. And the office portion of this was built in like 1967, according to the card. And so he works in the back end of the house. And what's also unusual for this, they're attached. So he does have a waiver and, to have a commercial business there. But for him, it's been in home office. It's been exactly the same thing for the last 25 years. He does live in the front house, which is a nice size, 3,200 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath house. And he works in the back, which is about a 1,400 square foot office, roughly. It's backed up to the railroad. And I don't think he has a whole lot of property there. It's just because of that's a lot of coverage. So he does have a condition code on the land, but it's only 0.2 acres. And so he was really looking for guidance because his previous fair market value for the town was about 700,000, and now it jumped to over $1 million. And he really came in there. And again, there, if you scroll down, he's included pictures of all his abutting properties, which are all homes. And on one side, a much more modern commercial building. So he went through, he provided pictures of them all, and he went through, those are the assessment values and how they changed. So yes, he is part commercial. He's aware of that. But for him, he really looks at it as his home office. And I was like, well, do you see clients there? And he's like, occasionally the client will come by, but I think most people wouldn't know that he really has his office there. It's not this hustling, bustling office with people coming in and out. It's really just him. So that's the kind of extent of his case. It is definitely based on neighbor to neighbor, but I didn't even know how to pull up comps for it. And I was thinking, if somebody had to rent an office space, would they rent his, or would they rent in the office building next door that, would accept packages when you're not there and do all those other sort of things? Or would I want to rent a space behind a Victorian home?
Oh, and by the way, behind a Victorian home and abutting the train tracks.
Correct. So he had 3 restrictions on the property. 1, that it was historical. 2, that he had a commercial by waiver. And 3, he had the railroad. So I'd be talking about all of this and his personal, emotion. And I'd rather just give you all a minute or two to take a look at the pictures and what he's provided, and to see if we could perhaps discuss I'd love to get your thoughts, because I personally, I feel like, wow, over $1 million, that's just a huge jump. Harold.
This is Harold. Looking at the card, it appears, was there a change in value from the previous reval period?
He's really looking to go back to much closer. Yes, it was assessed last year at just under 500, and the assessment jumped $240,000.
Yes.
So at the previous assessment, the 497, he is looking to go down a little from that. But if we divided that by his previous fair market value was 710,900. He took 40,000 off to get to his requested value because, according to his chart, everybody else decreased.
Okay. Kathleen, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. So I want to make sure I understand it because he did have an informal hearing. So it, it's at least been looked over. So he has a 3,100 square foot home, and then he
Yes.
has a second structure at 1,400 square feet. Is that accurate for the two structures?
It is not a separate structure. They are attached. But
Okay.
yes, it is.
But when
a
I
third-
look at, so
Yeah,
when I look at the field card, I'm just looking at the current assessment summary at the top. I see commercial land at 786.9. I see a commercial building, appraised at 257.4. So I'm assuming that's the main structure. And then the second building, we've only got it appraised at 3,300 for the second structure. Is that accurate to come up to the
I don't-
1,047,000?
I don't know what those, you're reading those numbers right. I can just tell you that the two things are attached. And it does say that on it. I did not know what the breakout between the, I can't speak other than the land. That commercial building might be one. I think the outbuilding is that little shed. Let me, check that. So I think on the building, his house and the commercial building are put together at 257,000.
So he's got 4,400 square feet of living for appraised at 257. Or maybe Ross, if Ross is there, can you shed some light on this? I also want to know, can he rent it, for housing? Like, could he rent out that second unit?
It's zoned commercial. I don't believe he has a kitchen in it. I'm not even sure. He probably has a bath in it.
But could he put a kitchen? In other
Yeah.
words, could he do that with that property? Because those are two fairly, again, last night we started talking about, accessory dwelling units and separate rentals and what the income could be on those kinds of properties. So if this is zoned, even though it's zoned as a mixed use, so I don't know that and with a commercial use waiver, I don't know that he's using it to its maximum potential, but that doesn't mean that somebody else couldn't, and therefore it has more value.
I think Judy has a comment, but when I look at this field card, there is no, it is not a house. It's zoned for commercial, not residential. And Judy, you had your hand up?
What does it matter if he could put a kitchen in it? This is as of October 1, 2020. I mean, what somebody does with their home or their property in the future is not what we're doing here today. If somebody's going to improve, I want to finish my statement. If somebody's going to improve their property, when they do, they go to the town, they get a permit, and when they get a permit and they do all the work, their assessment is going to change. So just because somebody has the possibility of doing something or possibility of doing something in the future doesn't mean it should be valued for that now. Period. We should not be having those conversations on a property unless you want to do that about maybe your own house. You have the possibility of adding a 2-car garage. So let's assess your property as if you have that. So that argument does not fly with me. That conversation, I think, is just really a waste of time, what they could do with it. This is as of October 1, 2020.
So this is Kathleen. Let me just respond to that. One, I think it affects the market value of the property if you have the potential. And when we look at commercial real estate, when people buy real estate, they look at what the income potential is over the future and bring it back down, right? We've seen that with some of them. So how you value commercial property is different because you're looking at the stream that it can produce in the future. So I do think if he can create to rent, by putting in a stove and a small investment where I can't do that in my house, I can't add an accessory structure in my, right? There's certain zoning laws that don't allow me. But
if you have a relative,
You could do it.
Add one. No, I think that's really not appropriate. It's really not an appropriate.
Well, I think on commercial, it is. I think there may be some value. That's my opinion.
Okay, and what about the value of the railroad tracks?
Yeah, I'm not saying that's
That's
not
a real plus, isn't it? It's
Well,
not. It's not a real plus. So
Wait.
This is Harold. The house next to it does have a 0.8 condition factor due to the railroad. This property, the subject property, is 0.6. So it appears to me that given the fact that it's even 20% lower than the next door house that's also backs up on the railroad, that the condition is due to the proximity to the railroad, the condition that it's in a somewhat commercial area with the commercial building next to it, and it is a mixed-use building, commercial and a residence. So I think that the railroad and Ross, can you?
And there's no lawn there. There really isn't. Catherine wants to talk. And
No.
Clark wanted to talk too.
This is Harold, because he has built out an office space behind his home, and so that has occupied the land space of lawn, because obviously
He didn't do that.
it's more important to him, for him to have an
didn't
office
do that,
space
Harold.
than lawn.
Harold, he didn't do that. It was done in 1967 or something. That's what Catherine said. It was done
Yeah,
years and
bought
years
the
ago.
house. And rightfully, he bought the house for that. So, here's what I would like to go, because I do agree, like, there is a possibility of an income stream over there. I don't know that he would convert it. His income stream is that it is a commercial office now. If he did later convert it into an ADU, yeah, I mean, we could all do that to Judy's point. And I think so. If Ross is still available, and I know I'm putting you on the spot, Ross, but personally, when I look at this, I'm thinking, and I'm looking at the chart that he has of all the properties, it's that his land is valued as a commercial property. And that really sent him up pretty high this year. So I would wonder could you perhaps, is it easy to run what the number would be if he did not have the land valued as commercial, and you reduce, and we could look at that condition that maybe he should have only a 0.8? May I ask for that through the chair? I don't know what the right official is, but.
This is Harold. I think we could look at it as a residence with an office space. Of course, he would have to deal with that with the IRS, I would think, because if he is allocating a portion of his home for office space, that may, as opposed to a commercial space attached to his home, that could change the deductions that he's taking. I'm not an accountant either,
But that's
it
beyond.
may change how he reports his income and his expenses.
I'm sure that's beyond our purview. I mean, it doesn't,
Yeah,
I'm just.
I'm just pointing that out. We can looking at this as a residence with office space and seeing how the number changes. Ross, if you do that, Kathleen?
Sure. The land would change to 447 even. And that's with an 80% condition factor. And just to clarify,
80%,
when it was coded as commercial, it was also at 80%, not 60.
60 was at 80.
Okay. I look at everything online, so I think I didn't have my right glasses. Thanks for catching that. So making it a residential versus commercial zone would bring that to 447 versus, what does he have it as? Versus, where am I? What was his land?
786,
786.9.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, Ross, this is Kathleen. Sorry, can you explain, what about this mixed use, what he can and cannot do with that building? Because it's 4,400 square foot structure, right? So I'm looking at the card, the commercial outbuilding is listed as 3,300. Is that the second structure at 1379 that's being valued at 3,300?
I think it's all one structure.
Well, that's what I'm trying to
Right.
figure out. Where's the math for the numbers? I'm trying to see where on the card the different dollar amounts add up.
So the front, they are attached, and that's noted, but we sketched them on two cards I think because of the size would be my guess. So the first the front structure is on the first card, and it has a depreciated value of 175. And the rear structure has a depreciated value of 82,400.
And this is Harold. I believe that's where I saw the .6.
Oh, it's the parking lot. That's the 3,300. He's got a parking lot.
Well, it's his driveway, but you know, you get that as paving when you have park commercial. A lot of our commercials will have paving in there.
So does he have a parking lot in the back? What's that space on the GIS behind? Am I looking at the right house? Does he have a parking lot behind it on the back of his property? Backing up to the tracks. That looks like asphalt.
It's probably
No,
gravel.
that's a structure.
The house goes all the way, I see.
I mean, it's just the little, he's right up there.
He goes right up to the track. So that's the second building?
It's attached.
Yeah, no, I know, but maybe the
Yeah.
There's
photograph is
parking. There looks like there's some parking right here on the, from the rear view on the right side. Let's see if I can get a better view.
yeah, so this is Kathleen. So maybe on the field card, the second
field-
house is not photographed correctly?
That's like the,
No, I
That's
don't
the-
think it's just because of its location.
Right. Looked like a second Victorian on the card. That's not the case. There's some, so it's a separate structure.
No.
He does have some, so maybe that's the parking lot behind? Oh, no, wait a minute. What am I looking at?
I'm going to bring up another view.
Yeah. Make sure we have the right property.
and he's right next to the quote, modern office building.
Right.
So you can see in the, where they have the buildings drawn, there is parking on the left side. Actually, from this view, you can see 2 or 3 cars there and looks like a couple on the right side.
Okay, so that's the 3,300. It's not the separate structure. It's all under the buildings. Okay.
So, I would like to make to amend the motion to value the land closer to residential use than commercial.
I would say-
And,
Kathleen, you have your hand up?
Yeah, so if Ross can just answer my other question, just what can you do in a mixed use building? Could he rent some of it out if he put a kitchen in it? What else can he do with, there's some value in being a commercial structure versus being a residential structure.
I think he could rent it out as apartments. He could convert it to all apartments. We list what's there. So that's why we have it listed as mixed use, because it's living and office.
if he was to convert it to an accessory dwelling unit, it would definitely be reduced to residential because that is not commercial, as long as he's occupying it.
Right.
And I'm not sure he can convert it to a multifamily because it is not in a multifamily zone. So as long as it
This
stays
is
there,
Harold. Since,
residential, it would definitely then revert to non-commercial. He has the commercial by waiver.
so,
But
this
he
is Harold.
has it.
Since
Yes.
this is on 2 cards, right? have we adjusted the land value for the commercial portion separately from the house portion? Or
I don't
is all of the land area considered commercial, even though a portion of it is on the house? Because we do have two cards.
I don't even think we
Ross?
broke out the building as
No.
residential and commercial.
We wouldn't normally split this. I think the reason the card is split is because the second structure was built after the first. And it was easier to sketch it on two cards than it would be one. And since they had vastly different ages, it made more sense.
So rather than change the land classification for the entire property, what if we change the land classification for the house to be residential and the commercial proportion to be commercial? Does that make sense? Paulette, you have your hand up?
Yep, I was just thinking, I was listening to what Catherine had to say, and I agree. And that, you had a good point there with switching the land. But why don't we look at it this way? He has a waiver to have that as commercial, like was said. If that waiver, if he were to sell that house, there is no guarantee that the buyer would get that same waiver. He may have to revert back to whatever it was before the waiver was issued. So therefore, the potential of that as a commercial property may not hold true in the future if we're going to talk about potentials. So, and by the way, since it was brought up, if you're going to look at everybody's property because they have the ability to put on a department, then every property in town in an A zone would probably have to go up in value, which is ridiculous. So Catherine's right. We should change the value of the property. Look at his graph that he has with everybody else's property around him. Why did his go up 55% and everybody else's either went down or didn't go up that much, except for the big building, the big office building? Something's wrong when you look at that much discrepancy between neighboring properties. So I think it is a good idea to put his land back to residential, drop his price, and let him go on his way.
I look at the commercial waiver that, especially how he's been using it for 20 plus years, he's doing the right thing because he has an office there. He's not renting that office. I mean, if I feel much more strongly that it's a home office, that he's not going to rent it out. And he should have been advised. It's a zoning issue, I think, that we're discussing here more than evaluation.
Catherine, can you go in?
He has it, but
Judy has her hand up.
Yeah, Catherine, why don't you go ahead and amend the motion?
and you can check my numbers, Ross, but I think I would like to amend the motion to note that he does have a waiver for commercial reasons. However, I would like the land to be reverted to residential use. And therefore, the new number that I would like to motion to approve is 707,700.
I'll second that.
Okay. So that is an amendment to reduce the value to 707,700. All those in favor of the amended motion, motion to amend, I should raise your hand. I have 3 in favor, opposed. If the motion to amend is carried to change the value to 7,700. So before I call the final, the vote on the original motion, I'd like to ask, is it doable or is it practical to consider assessing the 2 portions of this property, one for the residential land area and one for the commercial land area? Is that something that can be done, Ross?
Yes, it can be done.
And can you figure out what the value would be in that scenario?
Sure. How would you like the land split?
I think,
But the guy has a waiver. You can't really split that. That waiver is something that's, I don't think that waiver continues on when the property gets sold.
So what is a waiver? This is Kathleen. Does anybody have any idea why a waiver is different than a zoning variance?
Well, the zoning variance stays. I mean, if you get a zoning variance and you do
I
something with your,
know. So what's
That's
a
it.
waiver? Ross, do you know what a waiver is?
I don't know what the difference is.
Okay,
I
so we get
believe the waiver is, and again, we probably have to ask zoning, and then it would become a zoning compliance issue, is that, you know, you can't just set up an office, like a dental office. You know, you sometimes see the dentist office next to
well,
his.
that's what I'm thinking about. The
attached-
doctors in their house.
So he has a waiver for zoning so that the neighbors are aware and, you know, the increased traffic and all that, and he's allowed to operate his dental practice at it. I think this is the same thing. He is operating his architectural firm, and I do think it's a zoning, you know, so he's allowed to have that additional parking, or he's required to have parking, the off-street parking. And, you know, he can work there. And yes, I guess he could rent it out, but he has not for 20 plus.
okay, Russ, in answer to your question, I can envision, and I don't know if this is practical. One is to calculate what the minimum area is to build a house there, and then use the other overage for the commercial. Or two, figure out what percentage the house is of the entire residential and office area, and apply that percentage to the entire thing.
Ross, I think it would be a 1/3 to the commercial and 2/3 to the residential split,
Okay,
if you're doing square footage.
so
Yeah.
if we take Catherine's suggestion, 1/3 and 2/3.
So you want 1/3 on the residential and 2/3 on the commercial?
Reversed.
First,
The house is big.
Reverse.
And then Harold's going down the road. I'd have to say that that commercial property is not as valuable because it doesn't have street frontage. It's attached to a home. It backs up to doesn't have street view. You know, I'd have to value that at less than and it's right next door to a modern commercial office space.
I don't see how splitting that up is going to be productive.
I don't think
It's
so.
It's worth the question, but
I don't think it works either, because like Catherine just said, we can say that that's commercial, but it's in the back. Now we have to deal with all the rules for commercial zone, frontage, all that stuff. So we can't just split it and say, okay, this part is commercial. I think she had the best suggestion. And I think it's time to vote. I think it's time to call the question and just vote. We could do this all day.
Okay, so I'll make one comment. He has 4,400 square feet of space, and it's a really big structure. I think that, me personally, I just think that's too low for that much, and it is commercial, and he can use it for other purposes. He's got parking, you know, that's my opinion.
Okay.
I'd like to know what a waiver is, because I don't know if that means it passes with the property or not. I do agree that that is a significant thing, but I don't know what a waiver is, so.
Ross, have you been able to come up with a number for the 1/3 and 2/3 calculation?
Sure, I'm just about there.
Oh, Paulette, did you call the question?
Well,
Did I hear you say that?
actually say call the question, but
Yeah, we can
We
still
have
wait for an
election.
answer. You know, I do believe that we have seen situations where we've had a home, perhaps a part of it was used as a real estate office or other business office, so the split use in a single building. So this is a similar situation. I will call the question once we have an answer on this question.
no, we're not doing that. That's not right either.
She called the question, Harold. You need a second for that, and then you take a vote on calling the question. If she calls the question, you have to ask if there's a second.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Well,
Judy will-
Judy
Why you
has
take a
seconded. All
vote
those in
on-
favor of calling the question, please raise your hand. 3 in favor, opposed? 1 opposed, 2 opposed. I'm calling the question as per parliamentary procedure. All those in favor of granting in part to a value of $707,700, please raise your hand. Opposed? The motion is carried. The vote is 3 in favor, 2 opposed. Harold and Kathleen opposed. Thank you.
Thank you all. Sorry, see, I thought these were going to be quicker, but okay. So back to you to present.
Okay, I'm ready. So I'd like to do appeal number 304. Let me just call it up.
304.
The property address is, give me 1 second to close everything else out. All right, 304. The property address is 60 High Court. The owner of the property is Stanley Buckmere Estate. The appellant was Brian Buckmere. The town has the property valued at $122,400, and he's requesting a value of $88,000. It had said $61,600 on the thing, but that was the assessed value. So the requested value is $88,000. So I make a motion to grant this appeal and reduce the town's value to $88,000.
I'll second that, Judy.
Okay, so this is if you are going from Bed Bath & Beyond on your left and you're on that sort of little side street there. I don't know what the name of the road is, but Bed Bath & Beyond would be on your left and Westies is coming up on your left. So just before the Westies on the left, there's a small street called High Court. There is this is at the end of it. So it's a lot at the end of the street. It backs up to the train tracks. But the appellants, and he purchased it along with the property at 35 High Court, which is next door, Fairfield Graphics, a printing company. His question was, why did it go up 39% in 5 years? It does have the Amtrak in the back. It is in probate. He said he had an appraisal, but he did not. I since contacted him afterwards. He's not, that I know of, sent the appraisal in, or I haven't seen it. He said it was too high in the past and he should have appealed it then, but I did look at all of the other similar kind of properties like that in that area. The land values are all fairly similar. I drove it yesterday or the day before. He said he was having difficulty renting it and it was just a dirt parking lot. Wasn't sure what he could do with it. But when I went and looked at it, it does have a fenced gate on it. And they had a whole bunch of firewood in there. I mean, stacks and stacks of wood. So I do believe, he was able to rent it or it does have function. It's not just, and even if it is a storage lot, it still would have some value. So that was his case. So the picture on the field card doesn't reflect really what it looks like right now. So Judy has her hand up.
Judy has her hand up.
Has anybody seen the shape of that lot? It's like a half a teardrop.
Yeah.
Well, bring that up so everybody can see it, because it's like a half a teardrop. It's like a little island in the middle. It's like really, really odd and bizarre.
Yeah, this is Kathleen, and he does
see that.
Yeah, he does have a condition factor of 0.3 on it for the shape and the size of the lot. 8,700 square feet, 0.20 acres, and it's, valued as a parking lot, DID in the back. So.
Is it a parking lot?
It's It's got a big iron gate on it, and when I drove it today, that's the Fairfield graphics that he's got highlighted right there.
Oh, it's, there's a little teardrop shaped lot.
Yeah, but it's got a, I can't, yeah, it's the half circle, Ross, it's that. But he is using, all of that property back there, and maybe there's a right of way on it, I don't know, but it seems that it's well used back there.
I'm sorry, could you bring that back? Because how does he get to it? Oh, there it
The
is.
gate, do you see the gate right there?
Yep,
That's
yep.
High Street. Yeah, that small street there is High Street, so
High
That's
Court.
that's High Street.
That
Fairfield
big-
Graphics, which he purchased with the lot, is on the left. And then if Ross scrolls in a little more, there's an actual gate across a High Court there. Sorry, not High Street. Across High Court. And that provides him access. Yeah, see the gate there? Yeah,
And so
when I
that
was there yesterday or
Storage?
Sunday, there was a bunch of it was all full of firewood in the back. So he's
like that.
Yeah.
And
He's
the
using
big
the
building.
property, whether that's also his things outside of the property there. Since it's gated, I would say yes, that other, whatever else is on the lot as well. So I think it's it's a parcel that's being well used. He did not bring in the appraisal, and he wants to go back to what he was at, but the town value is 122,400. It is commercial zoned. So I think it's probably correct at 122.
I think it's over the top at 122.
I had an informal
Really
hearing.
odd. I think it's a really odd shaped lot, and I'm surprised he's able to do anything. I'm surprised how that lot even got carved out that way.
Like I said, I think he bought it with the Fairfield Graphics. Whether they're deeded together or not, I don't know. But Fairfield Graphics is that white structure in the lower right corner of the picture.
And the Westies unit is that big thing next to it?
That's correct. That's the Westies. Yep. So I think,
And doesn't it look
again,
like?
he's got a
Doesn't it
0.3
look
on
like-
the land. So the land is taken way down. So a normal, that size lot in a commercial district usually has more value than that. So he's at 70% of the normal value for that size lot in a commercial.
I'd love to know what kind of square or rectangle we could actually carve out of that half a teardrop lot.
I don't know why it's not with the property he bought it with. And as odd as that is, because the teardrop should definitely go to Westies if you're making, we're doing geometry straight, but,
It's not even a whole teardrop. It's a half a teardrop.
It may be the parking lot for the Fairfield Graphics. Fairfield Graphics is right there, and it is a parking lot. It's appraised as a parking lot. So unless Ross has, more information about it, he did not bring the appraisal in, which I asked him for. They also own, a couple more other properties on the street.
Oh, and by the way, it's also in a flood zone.
Ross, could you zoom out?
How
so
come
that
you didn't say that? It's in a flood zone.
Yeah, he also is being, he's got a fence, so he is being assessed for the fence, the 8-foot chain link fence.
This is Harold. I believe that Catherine is asking a question. Yes, sir.
you just zoom out a little bit? Like, I'm just wondering, did Fairfield Graphics need that lot? Like, it just seems so oddly, you can't do anything by itself other than create a blight situation and a health risk. I mean, that's a disaster, right? Waiting to happen there. And I was just wondering if Fairfield Graphics or that other building kind of needed the space. And who owns the road?
This is Kathleen. Like I said, he bought them together. So it could be like the parcels at the beach where we have it on 2 parcels, or we have many commercial properties where the parking lots are appraised separately. But if you separated the parking lot from, they have separate parcel IDs. But if you separate the parking lot, like for example, the Gap on Black Rock Turnpike, right? That's assessed as separate. It's a separate card, but the Gap couldn't exist if they didn't have the parking lot. So I believe, he said he bought it together. They came together. So this is probably part of whether it's on one deed. If you want to research the deeds, I mean, it's $122,000 property. It's not $5 million. I I think we could probably just vote and decide what we want to do, but he did not bring the appraisal in like so I don't, and it's got firewood on it now, so I haven't seen any income stream to know, he's using it because it's full of firewood, so somebody's running a business out of it, so.
We know that for
Oh,
sure.
you don't know that.
Business
This is Kathleen. I was there on Sunday. All the guys were there. The gate was open. There was a lot of firewood stored in the back, like tons of it. I'm talking about piles and piles. So it certainly looked like a business to me that was being run in that space. And he said he was trying to rent it. So I believe he probably rented it to somebody who's selling firewood. That's my guess. Between now and then, all I know is if you drive down there, the guys were at Fairfield Graphics. The building was open. There were trucks there. They were doing work and using the property. It was not just a dirt parking lot.
Is it a dirt parking lot though? Is it dirt or is it paved?
What has he got? Unpaved parking used for
So it's a
storage. It's a dirt parking lot. Yep.
Right.
And he's
Parking.
getting some income from it because he's got firewood on it. So
How do you know that that is income? He could have gotten a big deal on cordwood and stored it there, and you're just assuming that it's a business. You can't do that.
it's a lot. This is Kathleen. You are correct. I'm assuming it's commercial until he told me it wasn't. And he told me he was trying to rent it. So that says to me, he was trying to rent it.
Okay, so he's trying to.
So I do believe maybe it isn't a business. Maybe he just bought the most firewood that lasts him for 10 years. If you saw those piles, he couldn't even climb on them. They were so hot. So
May I ask what it would be worth as an addition to the graphics property?
Is that a question for Ross? Ross, a question was
I can do
directed
that,
to
but
you.
I'll just provide a little insight on the shape. I pulled up the map that was the only map I could find, and it was filed in 1914. And it appears that this curve was actually a water course at one time. And it, probably got filled in as 95 went in, and, it's now gone. So the property shape is probably not correct. But I can add that square footage to,
The Fairfield Graphics one?
yeah.
And that'll give me just an idea of,
Why are we doing that?
I think that'll just give me a better value for it. And if,
Yeah, maybe it'll value more in line. I mean,
and if
valuing
he
it.
said, well, that, if it comes in, it's added 75,000 to that property value, or it adds 200, I'm not going to raise it to the 200, but I just think when things are looked at separately, in a silo, I think they often get valued too high because, there's a.
right, we do that with this is Kathleen, we do that with a lot of the commercial parking lots. They're all taxed separately. We saw that, with the car dealership, right? They've got separate parking and downtown.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it.
It's not contiguous. It's not contiguous. Well, what was the talk?
Yeah, I just want to clarify this because it goes on the record, and I just want to make sure that anybody who reads this or hears this understands it. When you keep saying we, do you mean you in the assessor's office? Because I never valued anything this way. And I don't think any of the other board members did. So who's we? I just need to know.
We as the town. We are part of the town. We're elected officials in this town. We are part of town government. Yes, we are. So anyway, that's what I mean by we the town.
No, that's not quite it, because we didn't do it. You and somebody else did it, but we didn't do it. So we, the town, doesn't include me because I wasn't involved in that decision. I might be part of the town on the board, but I was not involved in any decision to say anything about a parking lot. So who's we? It might as well come out in the open. Who's we? It's not me.
I said, I can say the town, that's whatever. So
No,
you want to call the question. Let's call I'm going to call the question. Do I have
of it now.
I'd like to call the question.
Go ahead. Every time you don't get your way, just call. Let's
No,
do it
this
again.
is Kathleen. It's 40,000. It's $30,000 request. Not worth our time. Not worth our time.
Well, I thought
That's not right. That is not right to say that. Absolutely not right to say that. No.
Others,
Every request is worth our time.
excuse me,
Any
this
more
is, the-
time?
this is Harold speaking. This is Harold. Others have called the question. We vote on calling the question. All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your hand. All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your hand. I have one in favor. Opposed to calling the question?
Harold, I'm opposed, but for some reason you can't see
Was
me.
there a second to calling the question?
No.
No.
I will second. Harold will second. All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your hand. All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your hand. All those opposed, please raise your hand.
Harold, I'm opposed, but you can't see me for some reason. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong.
Okay, I have 3 opposed, abstaining. 1 abstention.
Catherine.
Okay, continue
The vote
the
on-
conversation. That's fine.
Vote on calling the question is 1 in favor, 3 opposed, 1 abstention. The abstentions are Catherine, and the opposed is Kathleen.
In favor. I was in favor, not opposed.
No.
But it's okay.
I'm
Kathleen is in favor.
Okay,
I was in
one
favor,
one in
but-
favor, 3 opposed, 1 abstention.
Okay.
Catherine abstaining, Kathleen in favor. Okay, so getting back to this issue, I think the question is, who does this parcel, this parcel of land, if we're just dealing with this parcel of land, irrespective of the larger parcel that is part of the ownership of this area, then we have to vote on just this parcel of land.
Thank you very much, Harold.
And then I think if we are looking at the valuations, we have a town valuation based upon the card of $122,400. And the request is for appellant's market value, which, do we believe that to be the appraised value or the
80
assessed value?
This is Kathleen. His requested value is 88,000. He filled out assessed on the card. So we're talking about a reduction from 122,400 to 88.
Okay, thank you. So unless there's further discussions or anyone needs more time, I'm going to call a vote. All those in favor of granting this appeal to the requested value, please raise your hand.
Harold, I'm in favor.
I have 4 in favor, opposed. 1 opposed, Kathleen opposed. The vote is, the appeal is granted to the requested value of $88,000. The vote is 4 in favor, 1 opposed, and no abstentions. Thank you.
Harold, I'm going to leave the meeting and come back, so maybe I can get back on the video.
Well, we won't have a quorum if you leave the meeting.
Just 1 second. I just need to.
Oh, yes, okay.
I'll
That's
be
fine.
right back.
I'm gonna do appeal 412 next, if you guys want to
Okay.
get ready.
It is now 10:24. Why don't we take a 10-minute break and come back at 10:35?
All right.
Thanks, Ed.
Yes.
35.
I'm back.
Well, we're taking a break till 10:35.
Oh, okay. I'll go take a break.
This session is no longer being recorded.
It's here.
Catherine, you're here?
The
Okay.
recording has started.
Good morning, everyone. This is Harold Sawatsky. It is 10:36 a.m. and we are reconvening our deliberations today, April the 27th. Okay, commercial properties.
Yes. So this is Kathleen. I just want to state last time, I didn't mean that the appellant, I misspoke. I didn't mean that the appellant shouldn't get the time they deserve. I just meant I felt like the board was ready to vote either way. So that's what I meant by, I don't think, not that the appellant didn't deserve the time, but that our time is valuable, and I think we knew what we were going to do. So anyway, that was what my comment was. So I want to do appeal number 412. Property address is 1280 Post Road. The owner of the property is Carmen A. Totora and family. It's a limited partnership. The town has the property valued at $8,212,500, and he did express his value in assessed. So the requested value is $7,100,000. So I make a motion to grant this appeal and reduce the town's appraised value to $7,100,000.
This is Harold. I'll second. Harold seconds.
Okay, so this is the 26,000 square foot property on the Post Road where 16 Handles is, where the old post office used to be. It's a mixed use property with offices on the second floor, some medical and professional tenants. You know, I think farmer TD Ameritrade. So he was mostly questioning, you know, that the effects of COVID and how businesses are changing because a lot more people are doing online delivery services than Amazon. It's impacted his business. Retail space has become more retail oriented, and he wants to go back to his previous value because he doesn't think that things have gone up. So it's valued at $305 a square foot now, 4 properties. So he mostly was discussing those issues with his property. So this is an $8 million commercial property downtown Fairfield. So for me, I'm not comfortable, you know, based on the conversations we had, the paperwork he submitted to, you know, make a intelligent decision on reducing this value.
This is Harold. Anyone need more time? Catherine?
I'm going to have to abstain as I've rented from the Totora partnership, so I feel a little too, so I'll be abstaining if that makes a difference.
All right. And anyone else? Comments or questions? Anyone need more time?
Yeah, just a few minutes, just a minute or so. I want to review the information that the appellant submitted.
That's why I'm asking.
Thank you very much, Harold. And Kathleen, thank you for clarifying earlier your statement.
And to that end, Kathleen, you were right to get us back on track. And
I've just got a pile here, so yeah.
but to clarify how you.
We have rabbit holes, we call them, right?
Okay. Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
Yeah.
Any further questions or discussion? I'll call a vote. All those in favor of granting this appeal to the requested value, please raise your hand. All those opposed, please raise your hand. I have 2 opposed. Abstentions? 3 abstentions. When we have more abstentions than we have votes, does the vote carry?
No, the abstentions are ignored. So basically it's a 0-2 vote for determining the outcome. So the motion failed.
Thank you. Thank you for your input, and thank you for to Catherine. So the vote is 0 in favor, 2 opposed, and 3 abstentions. Opposed are Kathleen and Harold. Yes, Judy. Judy?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a request. Yes, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, I have a request. Since I'm not going to be on tonight and I don't have any, we're scheduled for Thursday and I'm concerned. I do have some appeals that I'd like to review while we have this time today until 12. With Kathleen's blessing and only with Kathleen's blessing, I would love to be able to present some of my additional commercial appeals.
That's fine. Yes, please carry on. Okay,
Or can I do one more? Can I do one more that I think will be quick and then I'll feel like I've made some progress?
Okay.
Got
So
it.
this
Hey,
is
Judy?
appeal number 214. The property address is 1262 Post Road. 214. The owners of the property are LIG 1262 Post Road Fairfield LLC. The town's value on the property is $6,589,600, and they're requesting a reduction to $4,100,000. And I make a motion to grant this appeal and reduce the requested value to $4,100,000.
This is Harold. Do we have a second?
Catherine will second it.
Catherine seconds.
Okay, let me just call it up here. So this is the Plan B Burger Building, and it has Be Fresh was in the back, the supermarket that was open for a very short period of time. I should say that the appellant was John Greenspan, and he came with his attorney, Gary Klein. And this is a complicated property because their problems, he said, were not pandemic related. It's actually related to, the building was rehabbed. It's the old post office. They fixed it up. It was fixed up and had the 2 larger tenants in it. And then Be Fresh went out of business fairly quickly. And Be Good has been struggling with their business, sometimes closed, sometimes not. He did say that Be Fresh in the back does have a lease on the property, so they are still paying rent through October 2025. But that it's such a large space, they're trying to sublet it, having issues with that. So at least he's got the rent in the back, but it's the restaurant that's been causing some issues with the front. And he does have some space in the basement as well, 10,400 square feet in the basement. So he thought 10,000 would be more appropriate for 30. He went through the different dollar amounts for the different sizes on the property, the loaded cap rate of 8.37%, some vacancies. But I just felt that, again, with the size of this building and, the complicated issues with the tenants in the front, that he does have the lease in the back that is still paying, that it's, it looks like eviction notice. I missed that on the cover sheet. That didn't come up in the thing for a judgment of non-payment. So that's for the Plan B burger. So I just feel it's complicated and I don't feel qualified to grant the requested value at the $4,100,000 request.
This is Harold. I would note that they did appear for an informal hearing and they did get a reduction at that time, so it was reviewed. Don't need more time? Any further discussion or question? And I would love to vote. All those in favor of granting this to the requested value, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. 3 opposed, abstentions. 1 abstention. Judy, how did you vote?
I'm going to abstain, and my computer is going in and out of service. So I'm starting to hear like every couple of words, and I'm hoping that it gets better.
All right,
So,
well,
I'll abstain.
I will continue to ask people for their votes if it's not clear or if it needs to be re-asked. Okay, so the vote is 0 in favor, 3 opposed, and 2 abstentions. The abstentions are Paulette and Judy. Okay, so now, Judy, we're going to hand it off to you. Hopefully, the internet will be kind to you.
I hope so. I hope the board will be kind to me too. All right, let's start, and I'm going to put the 7-minute timer on, just in case. All right. Not that we're depriving anyone, just to time ourselves and to help ourselves, okay?
Yes.
This is appeal number 207.
207.
This is 3266 Post Road LLC. The property location is 3266 Post Road. That's in Southport. And the town's value is $1,694,000. The appellant's opinion of fair market value is $1,250,000. I move to make a motion that we grant the appellant's value of $1,250,000. Is there a second?
Catherine will second.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you very much. Okay. This is actually, there's a couple of properties here. So when we're talking about this one, I also want you to think of 3280 Post Road, which is also going to be the next property, okay? So just think about that. So when we get to the next appeal, remember we've already had much of the conversation, okay? Let me get to my notes. Oh, he's had some trouble here, and I want you to take a look. This is, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ross, for putting that up. There's two tenants. This is a rough piece. He's basically said there was transitory people. They're not going out as much, and this is like an auto repair and auto restoration and cleaning, and that's a little tough in there. Those tenants are having an issue. The price per square foot is valued at $56 per square foot. He's only getting $15 per square foot on rent. It's under market by 15%, and he still had to take a rent concession in order to get this in order to rent it. And he had to reduce the rent, I said, by 25%. And it's based on the building's generating income. The town is going up nearly 7%. The land went up about 16%, and you know it's in a tough spot. There are, and I want you to just take a look at what he put on page. Hold on, page 7. Page 7. COVID has impacted the business. The buildings are really not, there's really no walk-in customers for these buildings. The rents have fallen at $12 per square foot in a few cases. They've given rent abatements to the tenants. They've owned the property for a long time. They've always paid their taxes. They need some help. These buildings are difficult. They're really difficult. And he's also saying the delivery trucks tear up the road and they don't pay taxes. And he's looking for a support for small business. So I don't have anything other than what you see here and what he has discussed with me. So here's my thought. I know those buildings because you guys know me, I'm a car nut, so I go to that I go to that place to car detail. And before that, it was a classic car gallery. And I was friendly with him. So I think he is, as far as the town's value for that, I think the town's value is high. The appellant's opinion of fair market value is reasonable considering what it is, and there's no real improvements in there. Paulette's got her hand up. Go ahead.
When you're done, Judy, when you're done.
Oh, okay. So it's a lot of money for that building. Even the $1,250,000 is a lot of money for that building. So I am very inclined to move forward and grant this. And I hope that you all feel the same. There's not a lot of information we could possibly get. Go ahead, Paulette.
Just,
Well, I was going to. I'm sorry.
go ahead, Paulette. You raised your hand.
Thanks. I was going to say I agree with Judy, and also overall, I think we keep forgetting that COVID has affected commercial. We talked about it before, but in the evaluation that were done, the town didn't seem to consider that at all. And maybe they can't. I don't know. I'm not blaming them. I'm just making a statement. But what he says at the bottom here, what he wrote in, is absolutely true. The tenants won't sign leases. No, they won't, because they know that they need to pay him. They don't want to be stuck in a lease. And he can't refinance his mortgage. That's true. So if he needs money to pay expenses or to pay taxes, they will not refi his mortgages because he has no leases to show that he's got an income worthy of a refi of a mortgage. So he can't get money there. So that does restrict him. Having to cut rents in half, or even worse than that, to get people to stay with him, to lease there, that's a big drop. And I think he's absolutely right. The value from the town is too high in the current commercial climate, and for what this property is. And he showed you that he had to reduce things in order to stay in business. So I think he's made every effort to do it. I think the town needs to loosen up, loosen the purse strings. That's all.
This is Harold. Just for clarification, where the green dot is, are there two buildings on the property or one?
No, there's another. The next one is 3280. That is a separate parcel, and we're going to go over that as well. That's separate. So we're looking at the square one.
Okay, and then the owner owns the white building as well.
Yeah, the one that looks almost like a large L.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
There's something else that I would like to add.
Yes, Judy.
Many years ago, when I was very interested, as I still am, in revaluation, I had understood, and that was when it used to be done once every 10 years, right? Remember when that was the case? It was once every 10 years we do a reval. And the reason you do a reval is because the values get skewed. Values get skewed, and everybody should pay their fair portion. So what happened, while the residential has gone up, and we all know that the residential has gone up, the commercial has gone down, right? And that's why we do these revals. And at one point, somebody said, hey, the 10 years is too long for this. We need to do it every 5. So that's what happens. Values change, and everybody should be paying their fair share. And right now, commercial, over the last how many years, commercial is paid a premium. But right now, commercial is lower, and we need to address that. And, the guys that come in here and say, listen, I can't get rents, that's it. What happens when the residential homeowners can't get buyers? Their property goes down. And that's what's happening here with the rents. So this is...
This is Harold. If you're finished, Judy, I would point out that on the card, this appellant did go before for an informal hearing, and perhaps the informal hearing folks did recognize the current condition because they did reduce the town's value. the assessed value. So it is reduced from 1,314,390 to 1,185,800 as assessed value.
1694, so talk in
There
whatever.
was a reduction.
Okay.
So,
Okay, just pointing that out. Kathleen?
yeah, just 2 points. That's the same backup. That letter is the same backup we just saw on the previous property. So that email with the list of 6 things, we saw that on the last property where the house was on Kings Highway and the Macware. That was the same backup in Catherine's. So he's using the same information in both of those appeals. So, while it's a generic statement, it doesn't really speak to the value of this property. And 2, if he didn't provide any, any income or expenses or any valuation of how he could potentially rent the space, or show me how he came to the $1,250,000 ask price, I don't know that that price is right. So, and I can't tell you that that's right or wrong, especially when it's already had an informal hearing and he went down $150,000, in his informal. So I won't be supporting it just because there's nothing in there to help me know that his number is correct. And
Yes, Paulette.
I think we established the other day that on these commercial properties where they collect rent, they are not required to submit that to us. So holding them to that standard is inappropriate. If they didn't submit it to the assessor, that's their business with the assessor. They don't have to give it to us. I agree, he didn't show us any leases that said that people, no, they won't sign leases. So he doesn't have any proof that his rent has fallen to $12 a square foot. So yes, that's true. And the same argument for that property is the same argument for this property because he's got the same issues. So it doesn't matter to me. He could use the same letter 100 times for all I care. In this case, he's telling us that his rent falls to $12 a square foot. He's under oath. Apparently that means nothing to some people here because it keeps coming up, but it does mean something to me. So if you don't want to vote for it, that's fine. But holding him to a standard that's not appropriate is wrong. Saying that this letter doesn't make sense or isn't appropriate to this property is wrong. And if you don't want to vote, you don't have to. I'm just saying, let's not put the guy apart. He just wrong.
This is Harold. I understand the pleas for compassion, given the circumstances. However, we do have to also look at the facts. And although we do have a statement and that they have been sworn in to attest that the information that they're giving is true, that is not the only information we can go by. And so I think that making a decision on compassionate reasons only whereas the MVS has made an adjustment based upon what they heard during the informal hearing and what their decision was based on, which we don't know, but perhaps the appellant knows. I don't see that there's any additional information that we can go with.
I don't think this is, I wouldn't label this as compassion. He's reduced the rent by 25%. It's under market. So, and it's very hard for them to get those tenants. And I guess the next guy, he's had difficulty there as well. So I don't look at this as compassion. I'm ready to vote, and I feel that those buildings are not in the very best of shape. I think they're really hard to rent, and he's actually lucky he's got a tenant. And let's not beat him up with the taxes as well. So
I'm ready to vote. I agree, but I also want to say that I do not base my decisions on MVS reducing anybody's property in an informal hearing. They work for the town. That's who pays them. If this property was decreased $150,000 already, and its value now is $106.94, what the hell was it appraised at in the first place? Way too much to start with. So they throw him a bone. They give him $150,000, and it's still too much. So they do nothing. They give an ice away in the winter. So from my perspective, I hold no. They have no value as far as I'm concerned because they work for the town. It's like having the assessor come in here and do this again. He did it once. So I'm ready to vote, but I just don't think we should be holding the standard being, well, they already got a reduction. They got a reduction and it's still too much.
All right, there's a request for voting, so unless anyone needs more time or has any comments or questions, I will call a vote. All those in favor of granting this appeal to the requested value, please raise your hand. I have 2 in favor. All those opposed, please raise your hand. I have 3 opposed. The motion does not carry. The appeal is not granted. The vote is 2 in favor, Judy and Paulette in favor, and 3 opposed. No abstentions. Thank you.
Now, wait a minute. I am 3280 Post Road. Oh, here it is. Which is appeal number 417. This is the same owner, appeal number 417, property location 3280 Post Road. And the new assessed, wait a minute. Okay. I'm reading this. Maybe Ross, you can help me out here. Towns and value, I see 769,280 crossed out. I see new assessed at 591. So the property card is reading 845,400. And the appellant's opinion of fair market value of 600,000. I make a motion to approve the appellant's opinion of fair market value of 600,000. Is there a second? And Ross, can you just confirm that that little those extra numbers there on the town's value? Just confirm what I thought.
Sure. It is valued at 845,400, and the 591,780 is the assessed value. I don't know what the 769 number is.
Okay.
That's crossed out.
Thank you, Ross. This is the Fairfield Glass Building. And this is a non-conforming piece, and this is right next to that other building that we just discussed. So, you know, what he's brought along the supplemental is that the same letter that was followed with the other property we just discussed. Everybody here, they're all month to month. The rent's down over here, over 23%. And I think there is a letter. Was there a letter here? Hold on just a moment. No, okay. So the land value is going up. It's not built to today's standards. This is the same documentation from the appeal that we just discussed. And again, I think this guy is well within his rights. Now, if there was an adjustment, they make the adjustment. Guess what? They realized that there was some issue, but that adjustment was still incorrect and it still needed to be lower. So I'm okay with this and I'm ready to vote on it. And I would be, I think it's only fair. I think he's reasonable at the 600 and I would go with that. You guys know that building. It's a tough building. So.
Yeah. So this is Kathleen on page 9 of the backup. There is a comparable property analysis. Was this Attorney Russo or this was Mr. Bertini as the appellant? Do you know who
Mr. Bertini
was there? Okay, I do see the affidavit for Chris Russo, so I was a little confused.
Yeah, I think Chris was there as well.
Okay, so basically, because when I see these comparable property analysis, he's looking at a change value from, you know, that 3280 went up 13%, where 3430 only went up by 2.79%. So again, there's no income information in here for this one, but we're some kind of a cap rate, some analysis. He doesn't have to show what he shows the assessor's office, but something to tell us. But how did he come up with the 600 number? Where did that come from?
I don't have that information. I just, he did tell me the rents were down 23.35%. It's just a really, really tough building. It's a non-conforming piece. And it's shared parking.
Okay.
So,
Anybody need more time? Any further comments or discussion? I'll call the vote. All those in favor of granting this appeal to the requested value, please raise your hand. I have 2 in favor. Catherine is there. Okay. 2 in favor, opposed, please raise your hand. I have 3 opposed. Motion is not carried. The appeal is not granted. The vote is 2 in favor, 3 opposed. Judy and Paula in favor.
I would just like to make a comment that whether income is required, I mean, when it's not provided, of course, our assessor's office, just like assessor's office everywhere, has to make assumptions. And if the appellant wants to appeal, they have to appeal our, I need more information to know why the valuation is wrong. So if it's not required, and I will have discussions, and I truly believe the people, so I ask a lot of questions and they'll give me their numbers verbally. I don't want to put a personal tax return in the file, but I get the information. The information is provided in some way to make a little more educated. So when there is nothing provided verbally or in the file or whatever, I'm very sorry, and I'll apologize to the appellant that I can't vote just on a number that's unsupported in any way, whether it's.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Catherine.
Why I'm voting.
No apologies necessary.
Okay, let's go to appeal number 483. This is Inwood Equity Fairfield LLC. The property location is 1740 Post Road. The town's valued at $2,133,700. The appellant's opinion of fair market value is $1,070,900. This appeal was withdrawn. So what, do I need to make a motion and then we just do nothing, or I'm just letting you know it's withdrawn? So what do we do there? Kathleen?
Yeah, Ross, this is Kathleen. Do you have it as officially withdrawn? Because I never got that. I didn't put that on my sheet, but if you have it as withdrawn, you have proof of it.
Not officially. I have a note here that says withdrawn.
This is Ross. There's an email in the file indicating that it's withdrawn.
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
last page.
It's page
Well, we
8.
don't need to vote on it. We haven't been voting on the ones that are withdrawn, only the ones that don't show.
Okay. Right.
It's off our list.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's still on that one, that's why. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get that. So, yep, I will take it off.
I thought I had everything in order here, but of course, let's see.
Do you want to do the CVS at 521? That's a pretty big one.
Hold on a second. I printed these out in order to make it nice and easy and go fast. You know what we can do? I'll tell you what we can do right now.
I have one too, if you want me to do one.
Okay, number 174, is that in here? Yep, let's do 174. This is Highland Realty Partners. The property is located at 30 Jelliff Lane. And town's value is $3,518,100. The appellant's opinion of fair market value is $3 million. And I move that we make a motion that we approve the appellant's value of $3 million. Okay, so now I will say this.
Do we have a second?
Catherine will
I
say.
think.
Catherine second.
Okay, he was a no-show, by the way. The mail returned, and the mail was returned, and that's in the file, but they were a no-show.
Does anyone know if they were contacted to reschedule?
There was mail returned, by the way, and that was in the file.
Ross, did we have the correct address for the owner of this property?
Let me take a peek.
That's at 174.
Let me pull the file.
It did include a real
No,
marketing.
I don't need to. Hold on.
Pardon?
I don't need to pull the file. I've got my spreadsheet here. I'm checking my spreadsheet, which is where we mail merged letters from, and we used the address that was provided on the contact information. I can pull the notification of his hearing. Do we know when, Kathleen, do you happen to know when his hearing was offhand?
What day it was?
Quickly?
It was scheduled for March 16th at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, March 16th.
This is Harold. It appears that the appellant assigned this to an attorney, and it's the attorney whose address is on the form.
Right.
I can confirm that we mailed the notice of his hearing date and time to 25 Burlington Mall Road, Suite 505, Burlington, Mass.
Well, I have a note on my little note says mail returned, and then I wrote in file. So you have that returned as, you have noticed that that was returned to you?
Let me go pull the file.
Well, this is Kathleen. I guess to move things along, what do we want to do if in fact the mail was returned? Do we want to give him the opportunity? Or are we going to, what's people's thoughts on what we're going to do? Because obviously he didn't have a hearing, so.
This is Harold. We do have a telephone number there. If someone wishes to call the number and find out if they wish to withdraw this or they wish to appeal, we still have some days left in this session that we can bring them back in. We would have to notice it on our agenda, so it would have to be quite soon. So Judy, if this was your appeal, if you want to call that number, see if you can get a number for the appellant or just find out what they want to do with this, then we can take that feedback to determine how we want to handle this and give the appellant a proper hearing.
All right. Then I'll do that.
Is that okay with everyone? Okay. No one's opposed, so let's do it that way.
So we'll just keep this open.
Yeah, as long as, if Ross can confirm that the mail came back, I guess that's what we're trying to figure out, right? Did the mail come back? It looks like he grabbed the folder.
For some reason,
Yep.
I have that.
This is Ross. Yeah, it did come back, and it says insufficient address, unable to forward, but the address does appear to be complete. It's 25 Burlington Mall Road, Suite 505, Burlington, Mass. 01803.
And with the attorney's name on it, or is it the name of the law firm?
It's the attorney, it's the contact name.
Yeah, so that may be because the law firm name was not on it. If, you know, Burlington Mall Road is a huge, I don't know how big Suite 505 is, so that could be the reason. So how about, Judy, if we take no action, Catherine, if Rosie and Catherine follow up, I have one other person that will probably do a phone hearing for, so either Judy can do it or I can do it. We can do them together, and we'll just, you know, give them the opportunity to have a phone hearing maybe Thursday morning or something like that. There's another one as well. So does that make sense? I just need 24 hours to, you know, I think I'll do it as a separate agenda, do it as a hearing. We have to set it up with taping and everything and allow the public in. So it gets a little complicated.
All right.
I think there's one other that I want to do as well.
We'll see if we can figure that out. So by the way, I have another one, appeal number 173. And same thing, no show, and the mail was returned in file.
Is it the
So-
same appellant?
About to go, you know, they're right next to each other. I got a funny feeling it is. So
And the addresses are the same, right? Jelliff, those two streets back up to each other, the Jelliff and the 60 Round Hill. So it's probably the same commercial property.
right, so I'll make that call on behalf for both of those.
It's the same attorney, so I think we can do the same, take the same procedure and try to contact the contact and see how they want to proceed.
The contact. I need my contacts to contact the contact.
Well, usually you have two. Okay, so let's take no action on this one either, and we will see if we wish to revisit it based upon the information that we gather.
Okay, I got another one for you. This is, bear with me. So appeal number 401.
That was 401?
Yes. Property, appeal number 401, property owner's name 3611 Post Road LLC. This is Garlic and Herbs, property location 3611 Post Road. And Marissa Pola from Zells, Nino and Cooper came to present. Town's value, $2,354,500. Appellant's opinion of fair market value is $2,156,300. I make a motion to approve the appellant's fair market value of $2,156,300. Is there a second? Thank you, Kathleen. So, you know, here's the first thing they said, it's appraised significantly higher than the 2015 Grand West. There's been no significant improvements. And there's no usage change. It's best for retail or restaurant, and it's really, they've been really most affected by COVID. And COVID has really hurt commercial, and we all know that. So this is what, this is the information that I have. Whatever you see is whatever I have. No material improvements. There's a 9.2 increase in value. And that's.
Anybody need more time? Any further discussion or comments? Yes, Catherine.
I thought in the last 3 or 4 years, that's their new store. Let's just say that there's no improvements. I think that wasn't there in 2015.
No, they built it. They built it. They haven't done anything else to it.
Okay, but it was like newly built in the last 5
Right,
years and
right.
reopened as their new space from the Westport line. Is that correct? I'm
Right.
thinking building, right?
Right.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Thanks.
I was
The
wondering-
difference, it's less than a $200,000 difference.
Yep, no, I just wanted to make sure I gotcha. Thank you.
So if there's no further discussion or comments, I'd like to call a vote. All those in favor of granting this appeal to the requested value, please raise your hand. All those opposed, please raise, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with this one.
Okay, all those. So in favor, we have one. Judy's in favor. Is that correct?
Right.
All those opposed, please raise your hand. I have 3 opposed. Abstentions? 1 abstention. The appeal is not granted. It is denied. The vote is 1 in favor, 3 opposed, and 1 abstention. In favor was Judy. Abstention was Paulette.
I'm abstaining because I wasn't satisfied with my meal. Was not very good. I would have to vote no because I don't like them, so I'm going to just abstain.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, okay.
It's the place to go for the balls, though.
Gosh. All right. This next one, you should see my notes, and I guess I'm excited to present this one. Not that I'm not excited to present anything, especially in front of all of you lovely people. This is appeal number 519.
519.
This is 682 Commerce Drive Associates. It's a limited partnership who owned the property at 682 Commerce Drive. And the town has this property valued at $3,069,400. The appellant's opinion of fair market value is $2,258,020. Because you got to get that 20 in there, right? At any rate, I make a motion to approve the appellant's opinion of fair market value of $2,258,000. We just like round it off, $2,258,000 even. We add that $20, which is what they wanted. They asked
No,
for.
I think we've been rounding to the nearest 100, so
Okay.
I support your 2,258,000, and I
Okay.
will second that motion.
Thank you very much. So, you know what? This is interesting. You guys can see my notes. Well, I don't know if you can see it. And I wrote, wow, bad increase in capital letters. So I felt very, very strongly about this. Peter Ambrose is the attorney who came on behalf of the client. The land portion of the appraisal more than doubled from 687.6 to 1,636.5, which is a 238% increase. 238%. It's not keeping with any of the comparable properties in the neighborhood. I mean, 238%. How the heck did that happen? This, so when I hold this up and I said, wow, bad increase, I was not kidding. Because I wanted to make sure that I remembered how bad this was. Ridiculous. The land value is 2.4%. Wow. I'm just speechless when I look at some of these other, properties. So he brought in, bring in a field card. There's 350. I guess he showing you about some of these other properties. 250 Black Rock Turnpike actually went down. 305 Black Rock Turnpike, they're 13%, but here we are, 256%. Can we get realistic here and do the right thing? I guess this one was an absolute outlier, and I don't know what they did and made it crazy. Ross, would you pull that up on the screen for everybody so they can see it?
Hey, this is Kathleen. I looked at this one because I saw the huge difference, and so I have a question for Ross, Judy, if it's okay. It may take him a minute to look at it.
Yeah.
I noticed that, we know the values in the Commerce Drive area in general, the C4, that's the sort of the commercial neighborhood. A lot of the real estate in there went up because I had quite a few appeals on Commerce Drive that I haven't gotten to yet. But in general, the Commerce Drive area did go up, but this particular card has an adjustment factor on the property of 1.7 condition factor, which is, and some of the other commercials around there are C3s. This happens to be a C4, but and it says use in there. So I think it was probably done intentionally. I'm just asking why a daycare would have a higher, land value than, say, the medical buildings or the restaurants or something. Why? And, this was probably part of the reval. Like I said, I'm not sure it was not intentional. I'm just trying to figure out, was it a 1.7 condition factor before? And if not, why would the daycare be, their land value be worthy of a 1.7 condition factor?
Kathleen? And Judy, can I ask, because they've included the field card, there's 2 daycares in that area. One's like right at the circle, and then the one's on the other side of the medical facility on Commerce Drive. So the subject one and then the one at the circle, I think, is 365 Black Rock. So they're really close, same address, and that has a condition code of 1.2.
In a different neighborhood code too, right? So the 2 of those things both affect land value. That one says corner on it, so I don't know if that means that it's not as good a location, but
it's being used for the same.
Exactly, right. So that's a good comp. Yeah.
So I think that I'd like to understand that before.
Right. That's what I saw, and that's probably what drove, in addition to, the Commerce Drive area improving in terms of demand and businesses and everything, which is what we're finally happy to see in town, is all that happening down there. But
I'm not too happy about it.
for the tax dollars, I should say. Yeah, I agree with you, but it does help our tax base and keeping our mill rate somewhat stable.
Not when they all go out of business, the taxes are too high. We'll be paying all that.
I do notice on page 17, there's some note there about the appellate, if that's their notice, handwritten note on page 17, where they say that the total land area is only 0.8, as opposed to what the town says is 0.86. But I think the answering the question about the 1.7 versus the 1.2, that should be addressed. And I think I would like to see a value with a comparable condition factor.
Well,
This is Ross. What was the other property?
365 Black Rock Turnpike, I think, because it's.
I think it's 356. Yeah, 365. Right.
No, it's 356. 356 Black Rock Turnpike?
Yeah. This is Kathleen. Is the 356 the same similar size lot? Like I said, I know it's on a corner. That's what's in the notes.
0.58.
0.58.
What would the value be on that other condition factor?
Well, this is Kathleen. I mean, Ross can speak to it too, but the condition factor as well as the neighborhood code. So this is, the other daycare is a point. Where is it? I got to make sure I have the right card up here. The C3 neighborhood has a different neighborhood adjustment than the C4 does. So though in combination, you can't just look at one. If it was the same neighborhood code, you could say, okay, apples to apples, but you got to look at how the neighborhood adjustment is affecting the property and the size of the property.
Why are these 2 different neighborhoods? They're not that far apart from each other.
That's what
The
I was.
line has to be
commercial-
somewhere, you know, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I think the
Commercial,
ones,
we don't use neighborhoods like we use them for residential. The neighborhoods kind of, they represent, you know, the location based on typically traffic and how good that traffic is on the street for that business. So it's not necessarily, you can't think of it like a neighborhood for a residential where it's a particular area.
They're both-
I understand it to mean, this is Harold, I understand it to mean a coding for a commercial property based upon its location, not, and it just happens to be under a heading that says neighborhood, but it's not, the C3, C4s, whatever the Cs are, they are commercial condition factors.
Okay, so
right, so,
they're both daycares, right?
I think we can compare the daycares, yes.
yeah, this is Kathleen. I think it's a C3 because it's on Black Rock Turnpike. So it has a different it has a different adjustment factor than the C4, which is not on as busy of a road. But do we want to, I'm thinking in the, you know, for time reasons, I think we have questions on the land. I'm wondering if we want to just table this one and take another one, and while Ross can take a look at the land values on those two and see.
Let's
Why?
finish it. Let's finish it.
No, I'm not, I agree we should finish it, but I'm just wondering if we can take 5 minutes and let him figure it out and do another one and then come back to it.
But yeah, well, okay, we can come back to it, but we generally last a lot more than 5 minutes.
Well, I have one that I have, or maybe your CVS one would be quick. I don't know. It's a lot, it's a big property. I have a couple that I think are quick as well. But I agree, we should not do it.
Catherine, have your hand up, Catherine.
Ross, and because I don't even know if these all will be appealed at later times, but there is also 682 Commerce Drive. Is that the same? Is that the subject?
Right.
That's the subject. Never mind, because I was like, no, that is another condition code of 1.7. Okay, never mind.
Which is
Sorry.
the CVS, Kathleen? Which
Sure,
one?
it's the
The
one that's
number.
marked neighborhood 88. It's appeal number 316. It actually has a neighborhood code of 88 or something. Is that the, oh no, wait a minute, hold on. Up to 521, Gene Schroeder, 390 Jennings Road. It actually is coded as 80 east of North Benson, but I threw it in the commercial pile because I know it's the CVS on the corner of Jennings and whatever, Black Rock Turnpike.
So, this is Harold. Is the board agreeing to take no action on this right now and come back after we
Table.
have recalculation or feedback from the assessor? Is that the opinion of most people?
It's a table, I think, Harold. We're just gonna table it, which means we're gonna,
All right,
we
we're
need to
tabling
vote.
this.
Yeah, we technically need to vote to table it, but I'll second it if you made that motion and
I
then.
make a motion to table.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll second.
A second. All those in favor to table, please raise your hand. It's unanimous, 500. The motion is tabled for the present time.
Okay, I can do 316. That was my next one on the list.
Okay,
So we do it. Appeal number 316, it's 1876 Black Rock Turnpike. Realty is the owner. The property location is 1876 Black Rock Turnpike. And just a description of the property, just I think you guys see it's 29,000 plus square foot commercial lot with a multi-tenanted retail. The town's value has this property valued at $3,421,500. The appellant's opinion of fair market value is $2,800,000. I make a motion that we approve the appellant's opinion of fair market value at $2,800,000. Is there a second?
This is Harold, I'll second.
Thank you, Harold. They actually submitted a summary of revenue and expenses and use a direct cap rate. And this is where the pet pantry is, by the way. And the granola bar, okay, and the fair, so they submitted their documentation. Catherine, do you want to take a look at that?
Yeah, but wait, I thought we were doing CVS, so I'm putting on my new hat. So this is the
Oh,
pet
wait a
pantry.
minute, didn't I have 316?
This is
That's
Kathleen, you
not
did.
CVS then.
It's not CVS, right? My
CVS.
bad.
No, it's fine. No,
Okay.
it's my fault. No,
And the granola bar. Nope, I got sent for a,
thank you. Oops, Kathleen, oops. It was my next one, so I just did that.
It's okay.
Okay.
and the land values, they do go up a lot. Okay. They have 3 tenants in there. It used to be the old Citibank, right? Now they have just the 2. Is it just the pet pantry and granola bar?
I think one of them,
Oh, fair. That's something else going there.
There's an exercise studio in there.
Yep.
yeah, that the pandemic hit hard. Their tenants aren't paying. They have tenants that haven't paid. This is
That's
not new information for a lot of these commercial landowners, property owners. So they have a lot of arrearage, although they didn't quantify. They didn't actually say how much.
But it looks like they rent for $26,000 a month. Is that what you see there?
Yeah, hold on.
1,000 a month, I think, for the 3 tenants, or 312 for the year. And since they all have that operation and retax, I'm not sure. They don't really, what were these summary revenue? Okay. Annual. Year 1, 220.
Can I ask what appeal number you're on?
Yeah, 316.
Thank you.
For the record, Kathleen, you asked me to go to 316.
Sorry, I meant the CVS on Jennings Road. You're right. I was looking at the wrong line item. I saw Black Rock Turnpike and thought it was it. It's not. The 521 is
Okay.
the CVS, but that's okay.
Okay.
You might be
Yeah,
able to
we're
do them
here.
both.
Does anyone need more time?
Well, they say, and I don't mean that in any bad way, but they're presenting in a good way. I'm not, diminishing that their rents that they took in year 1 were, I guess, almost 290, pretty 15% vacancy and 10% miscellaneous, expenses, to come down to a net operating income of 220. And then they apply the 7% or the 7.5% or 8%. So which one did they go with? The 2.8? They went with the mid valuation, or 8%. They went with the high valuation, I guess. Because if they use 7%, it would have come in at 3,000,001. So I think we just have to say what we're kind of comfortable with. So Judy, are you most comfortable with the 8% and a 15% vacancy and loss and just a 10% expense?
I look at this, I see what I'm looking at, I'd go in the middle at the 2933. They're asking for 2.8. I see 2933. I'd go 2,900. And I'd be okay with that.
2.9 from the 3.4.
This is Kathleen. They did pay, you see, they bought it not that long ago for 3.1. So you do see that in the sales on the card.
Yeah, they overpaid.
Well, not even that.
But
I believe that it wouldn't sell for that today based on the current climate. So I think they have a good point there.
This is Harold. Your statement that they overpaid based upon the 2017 sales price, is that what you're saying, Judy?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
I take a look at that and I look at today's climate and how things are going and how difficult it has been for them. Have you noticed the businesses over there turn over very quickly because they're not getting the very strong tenants. They have to settle for these less than strong tenants who are not paying either. So
They can't evict them, I know.
Well, and there's
well,
landlord.
they don't want to because of the cost of it. Like hopefully they can turn their business around.
Yeah, it's
So
like somebody,
I'm okay with I'm okay with 2.9.
Would you be okay with the 3.1? Because I look at the 7%. I mean, it's just, and I'm not, but they calculated their rates. When I look at what they're charging on a monthly with their 3 tenants, I'm looking at that. I thought I saw the last page. What's current is I think their current rent, and it's showing $26,000 a month. And if you do that by 12, you get 312. Well, they show 290. I mean, that's awfully close. So I'm saying, but they're a little low on what they're saying they get for rent, or a little high on, the other report that they're charging. And a 15% vacancy, if they have the leases and the so forth, that's kind of a high expense. And then the 10% is probably, all standards, but I think that's a conservative, showing the 220.
I get it,
But
but that's assuming that the tenants are paying rent, and the tenants aren't paying rent.
Agreed.
So this is,
Yep.
I was just going to say, Catherine, is 3.1 an appropriate number? If you think 3.1 is an appropriate number, I would be willing to vote for this at 3.1. I'm not willing at 2.8. I know they paid that. I think, perhaps they did not have an informal hearing. It looks like from the card anyway, it's not listed unless the card was printed really early. No, it doesn't look like they had an informal hearing. So, I mean, I'd be comfortable at 3.1 and I'm happy to make that motion.
I mean, it's not my appeal, so I've got just say thanks, Kathleen, because I'm more comfortable at that too. I think it's,
Then I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to grant this appeal in part, or to amend the motion to grant this appeal in part to $3,100,000.
I could second that.
this is, Kathy seconds it. I would say that bring it back to what they paid, and even though the town had it assessed higher in the previous period and reduced it since then, that showed that there was some recognition by the town that it may have been overvalued before. And if you look back to the prior owner, I think you can say that they certainly overpaid because their sales price in 2006 was much higher there as well. But when it comes to commercial properties, you're looking for income from the properties that you're buying. It's not just the market value for the property, but it's based on income, and that, as Catherine points out, there are income figures to base valuation on. So,
Except the only thing there is that those tenants aren't paying. That's the, so that's the issue. Paulette has her hand up.
yes, Paulette does have her hand up, so I'm going to call on Paulette.
thank you. That's what I was going to kind of get to. I agree if they were paying the rent, but they're not paying the rent. So if we look at the value, it's based on the rent. So if I were looking to buy a building, and I'm not so sure I would in this climate, but if I was going to buy that building and I said to them, okay, what are your rents? I need to work out my figures and it's 0. I'm going to pay less if I still want to buy it than I would then I'd pay if there were tenants in the paying tenants in place. So I get it.
Let me ask.
They're not paying.
Okay, if you're a landlord and your tenants are not paying, what options do you have?
You could evict them, but I don't know if you can now because COVID changed that. I don't know if that's true of commercial, but it's definitely true of residential. You can't evict people. So I don't know if that's true.
It's also costly to get a new tenant.
Or you can sue them for breaking the lease.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so that's up.
Yeah.
That's up. That's a decision. So we do have a motion on the table to grant in part to $3,100,000. So I'm going to call a vote on that,
Amendment.
that amended motion, or motion to amend. All those in favor to grant the value to the amended value to $3,100,000, please raise your hand. I have 3 in favor, opposed? 2 opposed. The motion to amend to a value of $3,100,000 is granted. Opposed are Judy and Paulette. Now to vote on the original motion. All those in favor of granting in part to $3,100,000, please raise your hand. I have 3 in favor, opposed? Opposed, 2 opposed. The motion is granted. The appeal is granted in part to $3,100,000. With Judy and Paulette not in favor, opposed.
All right. So this is Kathleen and Judy. If you can sneak CVS in less than 3 minutes, that leaves us 10 minutes to get back to the daycare. You think that's enough?
Well, what's the appeal number on that?
Sure, 521.
Let me see where that
So
is.
the town has it at 6,035,300. They want to go to 5,566,762.
All right, let me see where that is.
Sorry. And Ross, this is Kathleen, but for some reason, the neighborhood code on this one, I think I mentioned it before, maybe you fixed it, is 80 East and North Benson as opposed to whatever the commercial. I think you told me it wasn't going to change the way back when, that it wasn't going to change the value of the land or the value of the property at all, but just that it was not put in the computer correctly.
Yeah, I see that, but it has been corrected. We'll
Okay.
take care of that.
Okay.
So this is Harold. This is the CVS on the corner of Jennings and Black Rock.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, why don't we go to that and I'll look for my stuff here. Okay. Hold on just a moment. Okay. Appeal number 521. This is 961 Black Rock Turnpike. That is the CVS pharmacy. And Jean Schrader was came on behalf of CVS. The town's value is $6,035,300. The appellant's opinion of fair market value is $5,566,762. I make a motion to approve the appellant's opinion of fair market value of $5,566,762. Is there a second?
This is Harold. I'll second.
Thank
And I
you.
would suggest we round it to $5,566,800.
Thank you. I'm still looking on my notes here. Just a moment. There we go.
Kathleen, Ross, also I noticed Judy presented it with a different street address. We have it as a Jennings Road address. Is it now 961 Black Rock Turnpike? Is that the official address?
Oh, wait a minute.
We still have the parcel address as 390 Jennings, but they may be using the Black Rock Turnpike number.
Probably for marketing purposes.
Maybe make them a C3 rather than a C4. I don't know. May drive up their real estate value if they have a Black Rock address, which is maybe what they want. I don't know. Anyway.
I think they may want a different address to be separate from their Fairway Plaza CVS store. Gets confusing when you say, oh, my pharmacy's on Black Rock Turnpike. It's a CVS on Black Rock Turnpike, and they go to different places. So.
Or maybe they messed up. by putting the 961 Black Rock Turnpike. Maybe that was the one that's in the Fairway Plaza and they kind of missed it.
Oh, the
So
Fairway,
they included the field card on 390.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the right Black Rock. Because
But
when they bought,
again, it's 961 Black Rock Turnpike, and that's the information that she gave.
I think we're thinking all the same way. That's the store everybody's referencing, including them. It's certainly the picture of the one on the corner of Jennings.
Mhm.
Yes.
And have something, I don't know if they're appealing the other one, the same appellant as appeal 574.
So, you know what, I'm just gonna, just
You
for
present-
clarification purposes, I'm gonna go to the map and let me look at, the other property. So I'm gonna look at both.
Yeah,
Okay.
there is no such address as 961 Black Rock Turnpike, so,
Oh, okay, so.
yeah. Or it doesn't show up as when I search it in the GIS as a parcel, so I'm pretty sure it's, you
Okay.
know, or
So
it's
that's
one of the
more
things,
checking
we've got the right
purposes.
CVS.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is Russ.
It
When I
also-
searched it on this particular GIS, which is our pictometry, 961 brought me to 390 Jennings Road.
okay.
When they, it was 2 lots and they just picked the address of where they put the building.
Okay.
And then- so-
Okay.
Sorry, we're beyond our 3 minutes, sorry.
Yeah, okay. See what you did,
I
Ken?
know, I'm trying to sneak them in.
That's all
I want to
right.
get our count up.
Okay, well, we're getting there. We're getting there.
I know, we are.
Okay, so at any rate, she did bring in information on their market sales and market value. And she also put fair market, she brought a couple of different scenarios with her, as well as comparables, and they're showing you, but you know, here's a case. I just look at this and I'm not quite sure about the numbers. Catherine, what about their income, or when they're based on their income expenses, the rent, all of that? What is your thoughts on that for what they?
They don't really have all of that. I mean, they make this, I mean, there's definitely a lot, but they make the statement that, you know, their prescription side is up, but they don't have the foot traffic for the candy and the health and beauty aids and that type of thing. So, you know, it's based on the pandemic market conditions at 10/1/20. And, you know, their numbers that they're using market rent for all their various properties, but that's, you know, it's hard to say.
Well,
what
she
this-
said
yeah,
they went through the income approach at 6.6%.
yeah, but they take a management fee out. I mean, they own it and they're taking a management fee out. I don't know if they sublet that. And they're using market rate rent of $281 a square foot. I mean, I walk into a pharmacy, the CVS, and, you know, most of the square footage is definitely for their health and beauty aids and groceries and all that other stuff. I think their profitability is all in the pharmacy and that drive up lane. So I think they have probably a hard time for the 281. Yes, I'm sure they were selling less candy and groceries.
Especially around Halloween. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So-
This is Harold. When I use those 40% off coupons, I know that they're losing money.
They're losing money on their receipts too, because those receipts are like half of a toilet paper roll.
All right.
Anyway, just,
Do we need more time? Do we need
No.
more time, board? Okay. All those in favor of granting this appeal to the requested value, please raise your hand. All those opposed, please raise your hand. I have 1, 2, 3 opposed. Abstentions? I have 2 abstentions.
I have to abstain either.
Yes, I understand. I saw your abstention hand. So the vote is 0-3-2. The abstentions are Judy and Paulette. Thank you.
Who has appeal 575? I'm sorry, who has appeal 574?
74?
Who has that appeal?
Yeah, I had it, but I don't even see it here. It's the same thing. So
Yeah, I should think we should
I'm
vote on.
looking for it. Where do you see it on here?
Got it.
I use the website. It was referenced in the other,
Right, but I don't see it listed here, so it is really the
This
same
is
thing.
called, 574 was discussed and voted on 4/21/21. It was,
Okay, that's right. Yep, I see it. Yep, I have it.
okay,
Okay,
it was denied.
okay.
okay. So can we go back to the other one?
So
Then I
take
gotta
a
be
vote.
done.
I'll make a motion to move it back on the table.
Thank
Okay.
you.
We need a second and a vote.
This is Harold. I second.
Oh.
All those in favor of bringing this appeal back to the table, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. We're bringing back appeal number, which one was it?
519.
Okay.
What was it that somebody needed more information that Ross was gonna look up?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna look up the codes.
This is Kathleen. I think he was going to look at the land values of the 2 daycares, the locations, the size of the parcels.
Yeah, I looked at the two parcels, and albeit it was a pretty quick look, and I would agree that there's discrepancy in the way the land is coded, but when I looked at the income for both properties, they seem to be consistent for the size of the property, and the resulting values seem to be consistent. So I think what has happened is that there's an inconsistent distribution between the land and the building on these two properties.
This is Kathleen. So at the end of the day, you feel like they are comparable in how they're based on their income, they are comparable, even though the way that
Yeah.
the card is broken out is not.
That's correct. I don't think the way the card is broken out is consistent between the two and should be looked at, but ultimately the values are consistent, and whether you want to make an adjustment on this value, that's certainly up to you.
And do we know why it jumped up so much from the last time? The daycare, is it a new daycare since the last, or, we now have better income figures?
I don't know for sure. I mean, it is a relatively new to that location. I went in looks like late 2013. So whether they had good income info in the last reval, I'm just not 100% sure.
This is Harold. Is this the property that used to be the lighting store?
No,
No, I'm sorry.
no, I think that was closer to the Mercedes-Benz dealership. That's the one you're thinking about.
Wasn't this a store for like religious artifacts and stuff like that?
No, not that one either. No, I don't think so.
It's
No, it
next to,
wasn't
this is
back.
Kathy, it's next to OSG, right? And across from the old Fitness Edge, whatever, on Commerce Drive.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of commercial in there.
therapy,
Right.
if you're doing physical therapy, you can look out on the building.
Oh, okay.
So I think the question that was asked, didn't get answered, is do we want to make any changes to the card as it relates to land values?
Well, so this is Kathleen. Again, he was arguing the land value, but he didn't provide us with the income that Ross is referencing and why they were, why their total value is what it is. And he, it seems like it was based on their income, and they're not arguing, they didn't provide that to us to prove, yes, the land is maybe higher than it was, but you still have to tell us that you can't produce you're not producing the income to support the value the town put on the property. So, it is a $5 million property, or what is it, $3 million property, without the income, and daycares in that area with a lot of businesses dropping off their children, by the train station. I think it's a really good location for a daycare that's not on a busy street. And if they've got the income and the demand, when COVID comes, back, people will still be, I don't know. So I don't think he supported his case other than to question the land.
I can't see how this went up, that percentage, 240%. You have to agree that that's incorrect.
Yeah, that can't be right.
It can't be right. It can't be right.
Well,
Somebody has to change this. That's
Mrs.
ridiculous.
Harold, if it is based upon income and expense statements, then perhaps it is right, because it's being calculated based upon the increased revenue that this property is enjoying.
How could it be increased revenue to that extent? How much money would they have to make to go up that much? And during COVID, the daycares were closed. So how much money would they have made? Not 200% more.
Well, this is Harold. I don't know, because we don't have that financial information available to us.
But the assessor does. He's saying that they're equal value to the other one, which to me, I mean, he doesn't have to release it to us. He doesn't have to, and we shouldn't even ask for it, I guess. But there's definitely something wrong. Whether or not he proved his case, a rational person would say that this can't be right.
Catherine, you have your hand up?
Well, I think Ross has already said, the allocation of the land and building is probably not where he would like it, at least for both of the buildings. So, he could look at that separately. But overall, if it's a $3 million property, and look, I'll say, there were a lot of deposits lost for daycare, and daycare, having a grandchild who was pulled and having to pull up those, they are still in business, yes, albeit at a much lesser extent, but people were still using, and they were still collecting to save their spots. And you commit to daycare. So there was still income coming in. I'm not saying that it was the same, but it was like every other business during COVID. And I think, again, to hold it for that date, I know we're coming for that date, but it is for 5 years. So if the whole property is, I don't know what it was appraised at last time, because the daycare just opened up. They did an addition of a building permit of $1,134,000, over $1 million in 2013. So the 2015 valuation could have been low. So I don't know what it went up overall for that, but their $3 million appraisal, I mean, I don't know what that equates to in taxes and all that, but I don't know what they're taking in.
Okay, this is Harold.
We need to do something on this. Ross, what were the inconsistencies that were in favor of this property? Can you review that? Because if we got to do something for them, if there's an inconsistency in the field part, then I'd like to address that and maybe offer a grant in part if no one is willing to grant to the reasonable request of $2,258,000.
Are you asking what the inconsistencies were?
Yeah, what can we address on the field card to adjust anything? You said there was a land inconsistency. What's in favor of this particular property owner to assist?
Well, I didn't say it was in favor of one or the other. I just said that it's how the land and the building are inconsistent, when you compare the two properties. So I don't know if I can say which one is the right one or not at this point. But I'm just saying that when you look at the land on both and you look at the building on both, that mix is not consistent, and it should be much more consistent than it is.
Well, can you
Ultimately, review,
give me the land and building on Black Rock Turnpike and one on this one on Commerce? Can you just tell me what that is? Because I'm not looking at it.
Okay, on 682. The land value is 1,636,500.
Okay. And the building was worth how much? What did you have for that?
One sec. I'll give you the improvements.
Right.
1,432,900.
Okay, and on
And on Black Rock Turnpike, the land is $1,800,000. And the improvements were
1,800,000 or 1,800,000?
$1,800,000.
Wow.
No thousand.
Okay.
And the building is $1,197,800.
Okay. Well, so here's what I look at. Well, Black Rock Turnpike, oh my gosh, that's a much better location. And they are valued that much less. So if I even look at what the town did for Black Rock Turnpike and compare it to this, if I see that this is very, very reasonable. That's over $600,000 difference. And yet, you say, oh, guys, but it's Black Rock Turnpike, and this is a daycare.
But that's not the only only difference. The subject property has 37,450 square feet, whereas the 256 Black Rock is 25,263. So there's approximately 50% difference.
Or about 12,000 square feet. Yeah, but it's also, it's got that main frontage, and you have visibility.
Right.
Yeah, so those two things, the visibility and the size, those wash out.
Okay.
So guys, listen, I'm getting very short for time here because.
Kevin, we need to do the multifamily too. We got to do that multifamily. So I think we should just, Harold, if you're ready, I think you should just call for a vote.
This is Harold. If there's no further comments or discussion, we've heard from Judy, we've heard from Ross, we've heard from Catherine, and you should never argue with a grandmother because they're always right. And so I'm going to call a vote. All those in favor of granting this appeal to the requested value, please raise your hand.
Before I can vote on that, I have to know if Ross is going to look into the discrepancy and do anything about it, because it shouldn't be that much of a discrepancy.
I already indicated I would.
Okay, I didn't hear you, Ross. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm voting for this.
Me too.
It's crazy.
All in favor, please raise your hand. I have 2 in favor. Opposed, please raise your hand. There's 3 opposed. The vote is 2 in favor, 3 opposed, no abstentions. Judy and Paulette voted in favor. So Judy, one quick question. How many commercials do you have left? Any idea?
Got it. Yeah.
I can tell you if she wants to get the multifamily ready. 1, 2, 3.
I can't do it. I have to go now.
No, we'll let you go. We're adjourning. The meeting this afternoon is at 5:15 for whoever is joining our meeting. And the 2 takeaways from today's meeting is that we were going to contact the attorney in Massachusetts to find out how they wish to proceed with the 2 appeals. So Judy's showing a note on that. And Kathleen, do you have something else you wish to add?
Yeah, I believe we told the appellant on the one who asked us to reconsider that we would make a decision by today. So I don't know if you want to then make that decision tonight, because she has 60 days to file in court, and she's more than 30 days beyond her decision letter. So she is waiting for a decision from us. So that's why it was sort of important that we address that today. So
And that was Judy's property.
It was Judy's property, so that's.
Was it mine? That's 77. Yeah. Or are you talking about Pratt?
Pratt.
Let me see if I might be able to come by shortly tonight to discuss Pratt. How's that?
If you could come by at 6:15 or shortly after?
I have a 7 o'clock meeting, so that's my concern. So
All right.
I just
Come
get
by
there. Let me,
at 5:15, excuse me, 5:15. We'll do that, and then you can drop off as long as we have a quorum, which we will have. That would be fine and greatly appreciated.
I will
What's that?
try, I will get there sometime between 5 and 6:30. Okay?
What's the appeal?
5:15, 6:30.
Yeah, we're starting at 5:15. That's when we have
Okay,
a quorum.
sometime between 5:15 and 6:30. I'll see you later, okay?
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make it.
All right, Judy makes a motion to adjourn. Kathleen has seconded. Thank you very much. I think we got through quite a list today. Thank you. Thank you.
Y'all at 5:15.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. Bye, Ross.
Okay, thank you. Bye.